Both of my biological parents are alive, yet I am without a mother and father. At the age of 5, they gave me away to my uncle in hopes of having a son instead. From that day on, my biological parents told me, "Don't call us mom and dad. Your uncle and aunt are now your parents." My aunt retorted, "You're not my child. Why call me mom?" Thus, at 5, I became a child without parents. On my 5th birthday, my biological parents received $500 to hand me over to a couple with a mentally challenged son. Fortunately, my uncle arrived in the nick of time and shielded me. "I already have 2 sons, let me take her as my daughter," he said. At that time, I didn't even have a name. Later, my aunt would repeatedly tell me, "If it weren't for your uncle, you would have ended up married to that fool. When you grow up, you must take good care of your uncle, understand?" My uncle named me Pearl, hoping I would shine brightly, yet I felt more like an ordinary pebble. My uncle was kind, but he was also very busy. He would leave at 5 or 6 in the morning and sometimes return home at 8 or 9 at night. My aunt was harsh, always wearing a stern face. My oldest brother was 13 and in his rebellious phase, barely acknowledging me. My second brother, who was a couple of years older than me, would pull my hair, tug at my clothes, and even put dead rats in my blanket. I would look forward to rainy days because my uncle wouldn't go to work and his presence made it feel like home. Soon after, my uncle sent me to kindergarten. My aunt complained bitterly, "It was enough to take her in for meals, but now you're also spending money on her education. Do you have too much money to spend?" My uncle would respond with a forced smile, "Kids have to go to school, otherwise it's against the law." My aunt continued to grumble. I stood silently, twisting my hands, wishing I were deaf. My uncle, trying to keep the peace, whispered, "Let's not talk about this in front of Pearl." My aunt glared at me fiercely before storming into the kitchen, where loud banging noises soon followed. My uncle pulled me aside and spoke softly, "Your aunt has a big temper but a good heart, Pearl. When you grow up, try to help her out more. She'll come to like you." After school, my second brother would play with his friends while I'd rush home to take care of the lawn and help with cooking and picking vegetables, so everything was ready when my aunt came home to finish cooking. On weekends, I had to wash the whole family's clothes, dealing with a tub almost as tall as me. There was endless work on the farm, with my uncle working outside all day. Most chores fell on my aunt. She would come home exhausted, dealing with my rebellious older brother and playful second brother. Looking back, her bad temper was understandable. Often, by the time my uncle got home, I would already be asleep. In the morning, I would check under my pillow where he would sometimes leave candies just for me. One day, I found nothing. Just as I was feeling disappointed, my aunt burst in, holding a lollipop, and accused, "Where did you get the money for this? Did you steal it?" I kept my lips sealed, and she was furious. "Steal small things as a child, steal gold when grown. I ought to give you a good beating. This will teach you a lesson," she said as she picked up the bamboo broom from the corner and started hitting me with it. Just then, my eldest brother finished his breakfast and was about to leave for school. Standing at the door, his voice cracking with impatience, he said, "Are you mute? That was given to you by Dad. Why don't you say anything?" That night, I heard my aunt sobbing quietly. "I've been with you for so many years, and you never buy me sweets or fruits, but you treat her well now," my uncle gently explained. "The money I make is all with you. I never stop you from buying anything. Is it the same?" "Quiet down, don't let the kids hear and laugh." Eventually, the noise from next door subsided, and my uncle quietly pushed open my door. I choked up and said, "Uncle, don't buy me snacks anymore." He replied, "Adults argue, it's not about you, go to sleep." Later on, the snacks my uncle brought were always in double portions, one for me and one for my aunt. My second brother loudly clamored, "I want some too." My uncle slapped him on the back. "You're a boy, what need do you have for snacks?" My aunt sarcastically remarked, "I guess I owe it to my niece for this treatment." But when she had a lollipop in her mouth among other women, her demeanor changed completely. Beaming, she said, "Every day my husband buys me candy. Do you think he's wasting money?" Over a year later, my birth mother finally got her wish and had a boy. My uncle and aunt took me to the baby's 1-month celebration. Almost everything from my mother's house was gone, even the chairs had to be borrowed from neighbors. Yet, she was overjoyed. "Finally had a son. Let's see who dares to gossip behind my back now." The baby, named David, was yellow and dark. covered in fine hair, looking just like a little monkey. I didn't understand why everyone thought he was cute. Almost instinctively, I called out, "Mom." My birth mother's smile froze. "Don't call me that. Your uncle and aunt are your parents now, understand?" My aunt gave a fake smile. "She didn't come from my womb. Don't call me mom either." "So, who really are my parents?" In the end, it was my uncle who patted my back. "Go play with your sisters." The guests were served sweet wine and eggs, each having 2 eggs in their bowls. In mine, there was just thin sugary water. As always, my birth mother said, "We're short on eggs, and besides, too many eggs aren't good for kids. The fire in the kitchen stove is about to go out. Go help stoke it," she added. At that moment, something felt wrong, but being so young, I didn't know how to challenge such authority. Later, my aunt came into the kitchen and yanked me up, sweating from the heat. She grabbed my ear. "I bought you new clothes, and here you are playing with fire. Can't even behave when visiting," she shouted. My birth mother was quickly drawn by the commotion, her face awkward. I asked her to help with the fire. My aunt let go of me, her tone indifferent. "Oh, that's fine then. She's your daughter. Keep her to tend the fire." My mother's face changed slightly, hastily adding, "I just wanted her to lend a hand. She's already been given away to your family. There's no taking her back." The two went back and forth, treating me like an object to be passed around. Finally, my birth father arrived. His face stern. "If sister-in-law won't take her, I might as well send her to someone else's house. We could still get $500, just enough to buy milk for David." On the way back, my aunt kept talking about me. "In the end, they not willing to give eggs to you one, but you still willing to work for them. No matter how well you behave, they still treat you like trash they've thrown away. 3 daughters, and still no one needs you." I sat on the front bar of the bicycle, the hot summer wind drilling into my eyes, making them sour and dry. Since that day, I had 2 uncles and aunts, but I was left without my parents. My aunt was usually okay, but her temper flared especially at the start of the school term. Education still costs money. Sending 3 kids to school was a huge pressure for rural parents. My uncle always had to spend time convincing her to let me continue my studies. Every summer vacation, my biological parents would invite me to stay with them for a while. When I wanted to refuse, my uncle would say, "After all, they are your parents and they miss you. That's why they call you back." At my biological parents' home, there was only one ceiling fan with 3 blades, and it was hot in the summer. The whole family would sleep on mats spread out on the concrete floor. I slept in the farthest corner, barely feeling the breeze, only smelling the sweat that filled the room. They didn't really miss me. They needed extra hands for the summer chores, yet they had to maintain appearances. "Pearl is a guest. We can't let her do the fieldwork." I ended up washing clothes, cooking, feeding sheep, and drying grains. Afterwards, they would hurriedly send me back. "You can't stay too long, or your parents will feel bad." Each return, my aunt would give me a hard time for at least half a month. Time flew by quickly, and during the summer vacation of 4th grade, my eldest brother went to work in a factory. The rice in the fields was golden and heavy. Early one morning, my biological mother came on a bicycle. "Pearl is on summer vacation. I'm here to take her to stay with us for a few days." My aunt's face tightened, but my uncle just smiled. "Pearl, go pack a few clothes," my biological mother cheerfully said. "No need to pack. She can wear her sister's clothes." While my aunt and uncle were away, my biological mother whispered to me, "You stay here at your uncle's and they don't let you do fieldwork. Come back with me. It's much better without the sun." My aunt came out of the kitchen with iced tea and saw this. I pulled away from my mother's hand and shouted, "I don't want to go. My big brother has gone to work. We're short of hands here. I need to stay and help this year." "You don't know what's good for you," my mother said, grabbing me tightly. "I wouldn't harm you." My aunt quickly stepped forward and pulled me away. "If Pearl doesn't want to go, let's not force her. She can come visit during the winter vacation." That summer, I stayed and helped my aunt with the rice harvest. People in the village joked, "Wow, it's the first time seeing Pearl in the fields." My aunt, loud as ever, said, "I've raised her for years. It's only right she helps out." From that summer on, I never went back to my biological parents' home for the holidays. Although my aunt wasn't very affectionate towards me, she always made sure I had new clothes every new year. Unlike my biological parents, for 5 years, I always wore what was left from my two sisters. My pants were full of holes, and they never got me new ones. I could tell who was good and who was bad. The year I graduated from elementary school, my second brother got into a key high school. My eldest brother came back with $2,000, saying it was for my brother's tuition. He worked hard in the factory, and his salary wasn't high. $2,000 was a lot. That year he turned 20, and started to worry about finding a wife for my cousin. My eldest brother always said there was no rush. In the quiet of the night, Aunt would cry to Uncle, "We have nothing at home, and two kids still in school. No girl would look our way. Is he going to remain a bachelor forever?" Uncle tried to reassure her, "He's still young. Didn't I marry you when I was 23? What do you mean young? His classmates already have 2 children each." My second brother was in a boarding high school. As he grew up, he became more steady. Every day after school, there would always be a group of boys and girls with dyed yellow hair, multiple earrings, and dark circles under their eyes hanging around the school gate. I usually avoided them, but one day, I got held up while cleaning and left school late, and the leader of the group, a girl chewing gum, grabbed my hair and demanded, "Got any money?" I shook my head vigorously. "Then let's chop off this braid of yours. It might fetch some money." She dragged me towards a nearby barber shop, but just then, a loud voice boomed. "What are you doing?" My second brother sped towards us on his bicycle, skidded to a stop in front of me, dirt flying. He was fierce. "Let go of my sister." On the way home, he lectured me, "You should fight back. Shout, kick, hit. Don't let them bully you." Halfway through, he sighed. "Never mind, don't resist. Hair can grow back. You are more important." The next day, he took me to meet one of his middle school friends, a chubby guy with tattoos and yellow hair who also often hung around our school. From that day on, no one stopped me when I passed by them. By the time I was in 9th grade, the women in the neighborhood began to talk about me. "Pearl is about to graduate from middle school, right? Your aunt and uncle have had a tough time raising you these years. You'll have to be good to them, you know." They also told my aunt, "Pearl is pretty and well behaved. She can start earning money next year." Aunt responded loudly, "I've not treated her poorly over the years. It's only right that she be filial to us." When I was in elementary school, Uncle's business was doing well, but now, his business was declining year by year. My second brother was in his senior year of high school with good grades and hopes for a good university. Uncle was happy about his prospects but also worried about his tuition and living expenses. I thought I might end up like my 2 elder sisters on my mother's side, who went to work in a factory after middle school, then, after a year or two, find a man with a good dowry to marry and start a family. Because of this idea, my grades started slipping during the midterm exams. Uncle slammed the table when he saw my report card. "Is this how you study? Falling back by more than 20 places. At this rate, you won't even qualify to take the exam for the top school." At that time, getting into the top school wasn't something you could just decide to do. Based on the number of students it admitted in previous years, the school would allocate a certain number of spots, usually around 30 for our school. "I'm going to work after middle school anyway," Uncle glared. "Don't listen to that nonsense from those women. As long as you can get into the top school, I'll do whatever it takes to support your education." I glanced at Aunt. She said sarcastically, "Why are you looking at me? Your uncle is the head of this household." That was her tacit approval. My eyes welled up, and I choked up. "I'll study hard." From that day on, I studied intensely and my grades quickly improved. Aunt didn't make me do much housework anymore. She grumbled, "If your uncle finds out I've been making you do chores, you're going to scold me again." But I'm not just raising a niece, I've been raising a princess. After my second brother finished his college entrance exams, he scored well and got into a well-known university in our province. My aunt was so proud and happy, she was practically glowing. I also successfully obtained my exam qualification. To take the exam at the top high school, we had to go to the county town, and our teachers arranged for us to stay in a hotel. Food and accommodation all cost money. The hotel we stayed at seemed like it hadn't had guests in a long time, and the blankets even smelled musty. At night, there were rats scurrying across the ceiling, making noise all night, and I hardly slept. When I returned to the village after the exams, I was pale as a ghost. My aunt clicked her tongue, "Looking like that, it seems it didn't go well." several classmates invited me to go work with them, and a kind-hearted aunt even tried to set me up with someone. My uncle suggested we wait for the results before making any decisions. Soon, it was my 16th birthday, and on that day, my birth mother showed up. She even bought a small cake from the town. I thought she was feeling guilty in trying to make it up to me, but after eating and drinking her fill, she revealed her true intentions. Your younger sister has also finished junior high and turned 16. I found a good match for her. The man was 25, slightly limp from a previous car accident, but he could provide a dowry of $150,000. My mother was all smiles. We can split the money. That would cover Leo's university tuition and living expenses, right? Since your sister probably won't make it to high school, and who knows how many years it would take her to earn that money working, she said this right in front of me, treating me like a commodity just like she did years ago. I was so angry my face turned red. My mother was still excited, though that man limps a bit. He's in a good position. He received a large sum as compensation from that accident. Marrying him means good days ahead for you. I gave birth to you, after all. I have to look out for your future. I clenched my teeth. I will pass the exams. My mother scoffed. Forget it. You were so dumb as a child. You couldn't even count to 20, let alone get into the top high school. You came from my womb. Don't I know what you weigh? Indeed, I was foolish to think she would feel any guilt over sending me away. Tears rolled down my cheeks as I shouted, if I don't get into the top high school, I'll go work. I'm not getting married. You abandoned me when I was 5. I'd rather earn money and give it to my aunt than to you. Just then, in the midst of my emotional outburst, the home phone rang. It was my homeroom teacher. Pearl, your middle school exam results are out. He paused, and my heart hung in suspense. Then he continued, you passed. Our school had 10 slots, and you ranked second. Sweat broke out on my forehead. I wiped it away and realized I was crying. My uncle grabbed the phone. Asked again to confirm the results, and after getting the news, he repeatedly nodded. That's wonderful. Thank you so much, teacher. Thank you. My aunt, who had been listening in, glanced at me. You came back looking so pale. I thought it was over. My mother looked stunned, murmuring, she couldn't even count to 20, and she passed. Her eyes darting around, she said, supporting a high school and a university student. How can you afford that? Maybe it's still better to marry her off to a good family. My second brother, who had been sleeping next door and never liked my mother, suddenly burst through the door. She's now my sister. Whether to marry or to study, it's her decision now. What is your relationship with your aunt? I can take out loans for my tuition, and I can earn my own living expenses. There's no need for her to sacrifice for me. Do you know how hard it is to get into the top school? Pearl has suffered a lot to get in, and you just say you're not going to study. My uncle, putting on a show, scolded me. Leo, how can you talk to your aunt like that? It's impolite. That's just how it was among relatives back then, constant friction, but rarely would anyone openly break ties. My biological mother's face turned red and then pale. I took a deep breath and said slowly, Aunt, even if I were to get married and receive a dowry, the money would go to my uncle and aunt-in-law. You've already sent me away once. You can't sell me off again, can you? My mother stormed off, cursing me as an ingrate. She also said my uncle and aunt-in-law must be out of their minds to spend money on sending a girl to school. My aunt killed an old laying hen that evening and served me a big chicken leg. Eat up, and remember, all the dowry money has to go to me. The village women also advised my uncle and aunt-in-law, sending a son to university costs so much money. And to bother raising someone else's daughter, don't end up with nothing to show for it. Not even all biological daughters get sent to school, and here they are, so invested in a niece. The admission letter included a list of fees, tuition, accommodation, and miscellaneous fees totaling $1,800 at the start of the school year. My aunt's face turned as dark as the bottom of a pot. Where am I supposed to find this money for you? When you start working? You know you're to hand over all your salary, right? My older brother's tuition could be covered by loans, but he still needed to prepare for living expenses. During tough times, every penny can be a struggle for even the bravest of heroes. My uncle went around trying to gather money. Someone suggested, ask your eldest for some help. My uncle just gave a dry laugh. Supporting children in their education is a parent's duty, not the duty of an elder brother. We don't have money to help him get married and build a house. We're already sorry enough for that. My older brother tutored in the county and worked part-time in an internet cafe. He slept on the sofa there at night to save on rent. I wanted to contribute too. Just then, someone came to the village buying hair. My hair was thick and long, having grown for 5 years, reaching nearly to my lower back. After some bargaining, I sold it for $80, sweating. I ran home with the money and handed it to my aunt as she returned from the fields. She wiped her hands and patted my head. Who the devil cut your hair so short? It's okay, aunt, it'll grow back, and besides, you always say my hair is too long and falls all over the house. I'll take you to the barber shop to fix it up. It looks terrible. No need, aunt, just trim it a bit with scissors. Let's not waste $5. That evening, under a sky streaked with red, my aunt borrowed a pair of new scissors and trimmed my hair, cursing the whole time. First, she cursed the hair buyer, then called me a fool for letting someone chop it off so carelessly. As she continued, her voice softened. Keep your hair long from now on. It looks better on girls, and we're not that desperate for the $80 or $100. When my older brother saw my chopped hair, he was furious. You might as well get a buzz cut. Can't even tell if you're a boy or a girl from behind. My mother also scolded me for being foolish. With your hair so long and thick, you could have gotten at least $150. For the 3 years of high school, I never grew my hair long again because short hair was easier to manage without wasting time and energy. Later, my eldest brother sent back $1,000 after resolving the urgent financial crises at home. I only realized upon entering high school how different people can be. Many of my classmates had attended tutoring classes during the summer and had already covered the high school curriculum. They kept up with the teacher's pace effortlessly, while I struggled like an old ox, laboriously plodding along. The teachers mainly focused on the top students and seldom cared whether we, the weaker students, could comprehend the lessons. Within a month, my confidence had nearly crumbled to dust. Then, my older brother came back home. Seizing the opportunity, I asked him for help with my studies, but as we talked, my spirits fell. It seemed impossible to finish all the studying. My brother put down his pen and said, Pearl, when I first started high school, I felt just as dumb and out of place as you do now. I wanted to excel in everything to prove myself. He later realized that it's essential to prioritize and let go in one's studies. He told me that by the second year of high school, students would be divided into arts and sciences streams. For science students, there would hardly be any interaction with arts subjects. Passing the general exams would suffice. So, I could make a choice from now, get a head start and solidify my foundation. Science tends to have better job prospects and involves less rote memorization, which is often considered more suitable for girls, but the choice is yours. That night was star-filled. My brother spoke lightly of his past struggles, but he must have faced tremendous difficulties when he first encountered these mountains alone. Now, holding a guiding light, he turned back to show me the way, hoping I could avoid some detours. I decided then to forgive him for the times in our childhood when he put dead rats in my bed. I wanted a good career and to earn more money, so I chose the science track, which meant fewer subjects and thus more focused energy and significantly reduced stress for me. I could clearly feel my progress. However, during the midterm exams, I ranked just above the bottom 10 in my class. When my birth mother learned about my grades, she clicked her tongue and said, I told you, she's not cut out for academics. The villagers also commented, that poor girl is still unmarried, and they are not worried. How could they not be worried? My aunt was nearly frantic. Reflecting on it, she realized that our poor family conditions were a hindrance. That winter break during my first year of high school, my uncle also started working with a contractor. Despite the hard work under sun and rain with almost no rest, he earned about $3,000 a month. My aunt cooked for the workers at the construction site, and besides her salary, she could collect some scrap materials, which added nearly $2,000 to their income. My aunt increased my living expenses to $300. Your brother only got $250 back then. When you start working, you'll have to pay me back 5 times this amount. You hear? I understood. After all these years, I had come to know her well. She had a tough exterior but a tender heart. During the winter break of my second year in high school, my eldest brother finally brought a girlfriend home. My aunt was overjoyed and started planning for their wedding. However, the girl demanded a dowry of $100,000 and a new apartment in the town. which was far beyond my uncle and aunt's means. My uncle sat under the eaves, smoking a whole pack of cigarettes as the snow flew around him. Though light and delicate, it seemed to weigh heavily upon his shoulders, almost bending his back. My birth mother had something to say again. If you had listened to me and not sent Pearl to school, letting her marry instead, we might have had a daughter-in-law by now. She once suggested to her elder brother, first get her pregnant, once there's a child. She won't ask for money and will marry you. This tactic had been employed by quite a few men in the village to get married. It was the first time their mild-mannered uncle lost his temper. Shut up, and stop meddling in my family's affairs, he snapped. Their biological mother left cursing under her breath. I'm only trying to help, but you don't appreciate good intentions. The marriage proposal eventually fell through. The elder brother became despondent and quit his job. His aunt was heartbroken, her hair turning significantly grayer as she lamented, he's nearly 26, is he going to stay single forever? After quitting his job, the elder brother got an internet connection and bought a second-hand computer. The village gossip nearly buried our family. They said my aunt and uncle were blinded by affection and spoiled me, their good-for-nothing niece, to the detriment of their own son. They also said the elder brother had completely ruined himself. Not earning money and just staying home playing on the computer all day, the aunt tried to arrange blind dates for him, but once people heard about our family situation, they all refused, worried that her son might do something drastic, and knowing he wouldn't work at the construction site anymore. She saw him sleeping through the days and furiously typing at night. Unable to bear it any longer, she urged him, there are other girls out there. You need to pull yourself together and stop playing on the computer all day. I'm not just playing, I'm writing novels to make money, he replied. He believed that working on an assembly line would never bring him success, and he wanted to pursue something more lucrative. His mother didn't believe him. Curious, I wanted to see what novels my brother was writing. He refused to show me, saying, it's not suitable for girls to read. I was skeptical too. Only much later did I learn that back then, internet regulation wasn't as strict, and the novels he wrote were somewhat risque. Another year flew by in a blink of an eye, and I was just half a year away from my college entrance exams. My ranking in the second year of high school had shot up dramatically. My second brother consoled me, keep a level head, if you can maintain these scores, getting into a good university won't be a problem, you're already doing excellently. Sometimes, what crushes us isn't the external pressure, but that heavy straw in your heart. That evening, my brother, who always played on the computer, insisted on giving me $500 as a New Year's gift. Pearl, use it to buy some candy. In reality, I had long outgrown my fondness for sweets. There wasn't much interaction between my brother and me, with an age gap of 8 years, perhaps. In his memories, I was always that little girl who secretly hid and ate the snacks our uncle bought. My aunt went around telling people that my brother could make money by writing novels on the computer, but no one believed her. My biological mother came to see me. She pulled me aside secretly and handed me $100. This is your New Year's money, keep it safe. And don't let your uncle and aunt know. Buy some pretty clothes and some good food. I threw it back at her. I don't want it, and besides, $100 can't buy all the things you mentioned. My mother's face turned awkward. Later, I overheard my biological father asking her, why did you give that money-losing child the New Year's money? My mother replied, what do you know? If she gets into a good university and starts making money, she might help David out in the future. Can you believe that? School was starting soon, and my studies became even more intense. Looking back at those 100+ days, they seemed to pass in the blink of an eye, yet, while living through them, time seemed endlessly long. Those endless exams, it gave me the illusion that the college entrance exams would never arrive, yet they inevitably did. It was only June, but the weather was oppressively hot. The continuous chirping of cicadas could be heard from the treetops outside the examination hall. It reminded me of when I was 4 years old. The night was encroaching, dimming the woods. I cried and fumbled my way home through the forest, stumbling countless times before finally making it out. I staggered into the village and saw my home from a distance. The light was on in the main house, and my biological parents and 2 sisters were having dinner, each occupying one side of the table. A picture of harmony, as if I never existed. It seemed as though the heavens had dozed off, mistakenly placing me in the wrong family. Fortunately, after its brief slumber, it corrected this mistake and placed me back with my uncle's family. My uncle, aunt, and two brothers were the family destined for me. For them, I had to achieve good results. During the exam days, I felt like I was a reservoir filled to the brim. Once the exams were over, I felt completely drained. As if even my soul was floating aimlessly, I felt an immense emptiness as I walked out of the exam hall. Then, I heard a familiar shout, "Pearl." I looked up and amidst hundreds of waiting parents, I spotted my aunt instantly. The setting sun cast its light on her graying hair. Her forehead was covered in sweat, and she waved at me as she lifted her arm. My drifting soul suddenly found a place to land. Ah, it turns out there was an invisible thread pulling me, no matter how far the distance. There was always something to hold on to. My aunt took me back to the village on her motorcycle, chattering away. "Your uncle and I have endured so much gossip and hardship to provide for your education. If you ever become ungrateful, you'd be struck by lightning. You know that." As the sun set and the sky blazed with light, I wrapped my arms around my aunt's waist, rested my face slowly against her back, and quietly replied, "I know." She didn't speak anymore. Only the summer breeze brought the scent of laundry detergent from her clothes. On the day the results were announced, my uncle took leave from work to come back to the village, and my aunt got up very early, from before 5 in the morning until noon. She didn't stop even for a minute. She kept muttering to herself, repeating the same things over and over again. Finally, when the time came, my older brother opened the website to check the scores. During those tense few seconds while the system processed his ID information, you could have heard a pin drop in the room. My results were about the same as usual, which meant I had performed consistently. At that moment, my aunt's eyes reddened. Those narrow-minded women in the village. I want to see which one of their daughters can match my niece's achievements. That afternoon, wearing a straw hat, she went around the village, sighing to everyone she met, "Pearl got good grades. And now we have to support her through university, which is so stressful." The aunties and older women in the village changed their tune, their voices filled with envy. "You've raised your niece right. Having 2 college students in the family is really something. I always said Pearl was smart enough to get into college. Once they both graduate, you and your husband will have such an easy life. Your uncle and aunt are like your second parents. You must take care of them in the future." The mood was very lively when, after a few drinks, my birth mother grabbed my hand. Her eyes were red and her face full of affection. "Little sister, I'm so happy you got into university. You got your smartness from me. I always knew you would make it." She caressed my hand. "I had to send you to live with your uncle when your brother was born. It was necessary. I've always missed you. I've wanted to bring you home for so long, but I was afraid it would affect your studies. You were born to me, and we should all be together as a family. Today, make sure to thank your uncle and aunt for all these years of care. And after that, you won't trouble them anymore. You'll come home with me." She pulled over my cousin David, who was busy eating and drinking. "David, call your sister to come home with us." David glanced at me. It's not like she got into Harvard University or Oxford University. What's the big deal? My older sister, holding her 2 daughters and visibly pregnant, came over too. "Little sister, they are your birth parents, and as their child, you can't hold grudges. From now on, we'll be one big happy family." I was so angry I could barely think straight. I knew they were shameless, but this was a new low, and funnily enough, some people agreed. Raising you is a grace, giving birth to you is also a grace. You're a college student, you'll have great prospects, and you should respect both sets of parents. My mother's smile was forced. "Of course, remember the kindness of your uncle and aunt, but if I hadn't given birth to you, you wouldn't be here today. Just remember your father and me." She reached out to pull me toward her. "We are your real family." I jerked my hand away. "Auntie, uncle, I remember when you sent me away. You said you were no longer my parents. All these years, you never once asked about my studies. You never paid a cent toward my tuition. You never bought me a pair of socks or a piece of clothing. These past years, it's been my uncle and aunt who have raised and educated me." I choked up as I spoke. My aunt didn't buy a single new piece of clothing for herself during my 3 years of high school. Now that I've gotten into university and am doing well, you come to acknowledge me. What are you really after? Do you think I don't know? My voice rose. You think now you can treat me nicely, and once I graduate and start making money, you want to leech off me, to have me support your son, don't you? Dream on, that's wishful thinking, I won't give you a single penny, my biological father fumed, raising his hand to strike me. I'm your real father. Who taught you to talk to me like this? My uncles, aunt, and elder brother stepped forward to restrain him. My usually quiet eldest brother pulled me behind him. My birth mother, trying to hold back her displeasure, forced a smile. David is your own brother. Helping him is the right thing to do. Your mother had no choice back then, and now she's apologizing. Okay. As she spoke, she was about to kneel. If she knelt today, my reputation would be ruined, and the villagers would surely morally blackmail me into recognizing my ancestral family. I'd never be able to rid myself of these despicable relatives. I was so angry my eyes turned red, and I wished I could just chop this wicked woman up. Just then, my aunt rushed forward, grabbed my mother by the hair, and they tumbled together. Susan, stop this nonsense, she shouted. I've been holding back because of Pearl, but you are just shameless. Do you think my brother and I are fools, having struggled to raise your daughter, and now when it's time to reap the rewards, you want to take her back? Keep dreaming. Whatever Pearl earns in the future is mine too. I've raised her for over a decade, and I deserve that. If you want to take her back, you can, but give me 100,000 up front, then I'll return your daughter to you. The bystanders finally reacted and rushed to separate the two. My aunt sat on the ground, sobbing loudly, recounting the sacrifices she made for me over the years. When I was 7, I fainted from a high fever, and she ran 5 kilometers barefoot in the dead of winter to find a village doctor. At 10, during a heavy rain, she picked me up from school, and on the way back, the waters rose, nearly sweeping us away. Her legs were scratched by branches, scars that remain to this day. During my middle school years, she nearly single-handedly managed more than 10 acres of land to earn extra money for my school fees. In high school, she worked on construction sites, picking up nails and selling scrap under the scorching noon sun. Everyone was shocked. My face turned pale. While everyone tried to console my aunt, they scolded my birth mother. You heartless woman, are you happy only if you drive your sister-in-law to her death? You haven't raised Pearl or worried about her for all these years. What right do you have to take her back now? If you really cared about her, you had many chances over the years to take Pearl back with you. My mother was still not ready to give up. She's my own flesh and blood. I still can't bear to let go. Nonsense. It was my uncle, his face red with anger. Is it her you can't let go of, or the money she'll earn? You know exactly what you're after. If you keep scheming like this place won't be your home anymore. My mother's face stiffened, disbelief in her uncle's eyes. My uncle, who was significantly older and had always been tolerant towards her, now confronted her sternly. My mother licked her lips, placing her last hope on me. Little honey, I was wrong in the past, and now I want to take you back to lessen your uncle and aunt's burden. Your father and I will handle your university living expenses. Your eldest brother doesn't earn money playing on his computer, and your second brother is still preparing for his graduate studies. Your uncle and aunt are under a lot of pressure. I scoffed. What about the tuition? My mother faltered. Can't you take out a loan for the tuition? See, she had calculated everything clearly. A few $100s a month in living expenses in exchange for a college-educated daughter to toil for the rest of her life. What a deal. My eldest brother frowned. Who says I don't make money? Wait a moment. He then went to his bedroom, came back with a backpack, and pulled out 5 neat stacks of US dollars. Coolly, he said, Leo, go ahead and pursue your graduate studies without worry, Pearl. I'll take care of your college tuition and living expenses. The room fell silent. My aunt picked up the money and felt it, questioning in disbelief. Where did you get all this money? My elder brother shrugged. I told you guys, I make money writing novels. He had even given my aunt some living expenses before, but she thought he was just pretending to be flush with cash, using money saved from his previous factory job. Tears suddenly streamed down her face. All right, it's fine. The education of your younger siblings is not your responsibility. I'll save this money for you, for when you buy a house and get married. She took all the money. My birth mother's eyes followed the money intently. As my aunt walked toward the inner room, my birth mother followed, smiling ingratiatingly. Sister-in-law, sister-in-law, I was thinking of building a house for David. My aunt stopped, turned around, and looked at her coldly. Who's your sister-in-law? I don't have a shameless sister like you. This money is my husband's hard-earned savings, and no one is going to pry a single cent from my hands. Assuming my aunt had already locked up the money, I pushed the door and entered. She was combing her hair while wiping away tears. I stood at the door, wringing my hands. I'm sorry, Aunt. Despite her loud voice and fiery temper, she was actually a person who cared about maintaining face. She never complained to others or made scenes. Her earlier behavior was a step down for her. She turned her back to me, tying her hair with a band, and when she faced me again, there were no traces of tears. She scolded me fiercely. To deal with your aunt, you need to fight fire with fire. Talking reason with her is useless. I've raised you all these years. If you're so soft-hearted as to help her son, I'll slap you dead. Understand? Tears uncontrollably streamed down my face. I understand. Why cry on such a joyful day? She wiped my tears with her sleeve, and as she did, her own eyes reddened. No need to cry. The Song family will have good days ahead. They will all be envious. She touched my hair. The college entrance exams are over. You should grow your hair out. Girls look prettier with long hair. My aunt locked the door with 2 bolts and led me back to the gathering. My brother was surrounded by women. How do you make money with computers? Exactly how much do you earn a month? Amidst them, he looked small and helpless. The women were eagerly trying to match him with their distant nieces. Then, my brother pushed up his glasses and said softly, actually, I already have someone. What? My aunt roared out of nowhere. My brother's partner was someone he met in a writer's group. She was an amateur writer, about to be a senior in college. My aunt was suspicious. You're not being scammed, are you? No, we've video chatted and met in person, and I have her photo. He took out an ID photo from his wallet. The girl looked clean and bright, smiling with dimples, her eyes sparkling. The women were deeply regretful, as if they had missed out on a fortune, yet not long ago, they looked down on my brother, thinking he was just rotting at home, not making money. It was much later that I found a term that suited my brother well. Socially anxious, he appeared cool and spoke little, not because he was aloof, but because he wasn't skilled or fond of interacting with people. Most of the time, he was immersed in his own world of anime. During college, I accidentally discovered my brother's pen name. He was a rural literature writer. The fan count is quite substantial. She's very popular. No wonder she makes good money. When her birth mother left, she was hypocritically tender. Pearl, don't misunderstand me. I still care about you. Her birth father clenched his teeth in anger. Heartless creature. We should have drowned you when we had the chance. I just smiled slightly. Too bad I survived. And not only that, I'm doing well. I'll continue to do even better. And none of my success will have anything to do with you. This nearly drove my birth father mad. My eldest sister disagreed. Dad and Mom had their difficulties too. You should try to understand them. Her 2 daughters, wearing worn-out clothes, looked at me timidly. The older girl was about the same age I was back then. I asked my sister, when I was 4 and we got separated, and I didn't come back, why didn't you look for me? My sister's mouth fell open slightly. Did that happen? I don't remember. You see, they give you pain that cuts deep, a lifelong fear, yet they dismiss it lightly with, I don't remember. But I remember, I said softly. If I had stayed in that family, I might have died in the mountains at 4, from a high fever at 7, or in a storm at 10, but I definitely wouldn't be standing here as a college student. Big sister, don't deceive yourself. Do you really not know whether they loved any of us daughters or not? Perhaps as the eldest daughter, she did receive some love, but as the 3rd daughter, I truly wasn't loved. When my sister left, she looked rather upset, although my elder brother offered to help with my tuition. I still took out a loan. He then bought me a smartphone as a reward. The school is just a 2-hour bus ride from the provincial capital. My aunt and uncle insisted on taking me there. My second brother rolled his eyes. When I went to register, none of you saw me off. I went by myself. My uncle slapped him on the back. Your sister is a girl. How can you compare her situation to yours? Later, there was a phrase that suited my uncle perfectly, daughter slave. He was short on patience with his sons, but always spoke to me in a gentle, soft voice. 2 days before leaving, my aunt bought some hair dye. Pearl, help me dye my hair. Look, I have more white hair than black now. The dye smelled strong. As I mixed it, I whispered, you don't need to dye it, Auntie, you look good just as you are. My aunt, looking at herself in the mirror, said, that's natural. When I was young, I was considered the belle of the area, but I'm going to dye it anyway. So I don't embarrass you with my white hair when we go to your school. How could you, Auntie? You are the best parent in the world. You are the most qualified mother." After finishing with her hair, there was some dye left, and just then, my uncle came back. He touched his hair. "Don't waste it, dye mine too." My second brother leaned against the door, rolling his eyes sarcastically. "Look at this couple, dressing up." The dormitory had beds for 6 people. My aunt chose a spot for me away from the windows and doors. It's cold by the window in winter, and drafty by the door. You might even have to get up in the middle of the night to open the door for others. "This bed is better." My uncle went to buy daily necessities, and my aunt made my bed. A neighboring lady commented, "Your daughter looks like her father, not much like you." My aunt paused in her task. "She's my niece, I'm her aunt. Of course she doesn't look like me." The lady looked puzzled, perhaps wondering why it was the aunt and uncle who had brought her, but she didn't ask. I walked over to help my aunt secure the corner of the quilt and spoke clearly. "I was raised by my uncle and aunt. They are like my own parents to me." At that moment, my aunt's hand, holding the corner of the quilt, trembled fiercely. After several seconds, she nodded heavily. "That's right. Although Pearl is not my biological daughter, she is my daughter all the same." My second brother had always planned to pursue graduate studies, but he hesitated due to our family's circumstances. Now, reassured by our eldest brother, he began to prepare wholeheartedly. He was always intelligent, and back then, the competition for graduate school wasn't as fierce. The acceptance rate was relatively higher than for college entrance exams. He successfully got into graduate school. He chose a good advisor and worked on projects every month, even earning a stipend. Apart from supporting himself, he even had extra money to buy me birthday gifts. During my college years, my uncle, who was in his 50s, surprisingly started learning to be an electrician and mastered the skill, working with a renovation company. My uncle was diligent and meticulous, earning a decent income each month. My aunt moved around with him, sometimes working as a stock clerk in a supermarket, other times in a restaurant, always keeping busy. The family's life was getting better and better. My uncle wanted to tear down our old house and rebuild it. Both my eldest and second brothers strongly advised him to buy a house in the town instead. "No one will live in the old house in the future," they said. "It won't appreciate in value." Then, smoking a cigarette slowly, my uncle said, "I and your mother will live there. When you come back, don't you need a place to stay, no matter how nice the city is? Your mother and I belong to the village." During my second year's winter break, my eldest brother's girlfriend was coming to visit. To welcome her, he took me shopping in the town. Unexpectedly, we ran into his ex-girlfriend. Calculating the time, they had broken up exactly 3 years ago. She was holding a child, probably over a year old. As fine snow fell from the sky, they stood at the entrance of a clothing store and chatted briefly. "Are you married now?" "Soon. My partner will visit my home in a few days." "Still working at the factory?" "No, I'm freelancing now, working from home." Her smile was so pale. "That's good. I wish you happiness." It was too cold, and the child in her arms started to fuss. She comforted the child as my brother said goodbye. As they passed by each other, she whispered softly, "Sorry, Leo." Inside the clothing store, the warm blast of the air conditioner hit us. My brother looked gloomy. I felt a bit upset. "Why didn't you tell her you're earning money now, to show her up?" "It was my own lack of ambition back then. I can't blame her entirely. After all, it was just not meant to be," he replied. "During the 2 years we dated, I couldn't give her much either. She suffered too. Looking at how she dresses now, she's probably not doing very well." It's not necessary to hurt her further, I thought. Perhaps it was because my brother could empathize and understand others that he was able to write good novels. His romantic life had always been quite rocky. His wife was an only child and a college graduate. Initially, her family disapproved. Later, after my brother bought a house and a car in the provincial capital, her cousin, who happened to be a website editor, recognized my brother's reputation. Over the years, the circumstances at home have changed. My uncle has a trade and there are no debts hanging over the family. My second brother is a graduate student and I'm a legitimate college student myself. We won't be a burden on my eldest brother. In fact, we can support each other. After much struggle, my eldest brother finally settled down at the age of 30. On the day he served tea to his mother-in-law, my aunt was moved to tears. holding my sister-in-law's hand, she said. Leo has been sensible and well-behaved since he was young, and he's not much of a talker. From now on, he's in your hands. Just make sure you two lead a good life. You don't need to worry about his father and me. During my eldest brother's rebellious phase, he would retort back whenever my aunt said anything. Sometimes, it was as if he couldn't hear anything she said. My aunt probably forgot how she used to wish she could throttle him. My second brother, in his third year of graduate studies, signed with a company that offered a good annual salary and the possibility of help with residency after certain years of service. My aunt was furious. That's so far away. How can we rely on him in the future? She complained. I've raised a son for nothing. He's always been mischievous, just like a stray cat that never stays home. Sure enough, now he's gone to the ends of the earth. My second brother picked up his phone. Should I call them and say I'm not going? My aunt snatched his phone away. What are you thinking? That's a good company. Many people would kill for a chance to get in. I want to graduate early and start working to give back to my family. But both my brothers encourage me to pursue postgraduate studies. An undergraduate degree isn't highly valued anymore, and it won't be easy to start studying again after you graduate. They advised. Mom and Dad have us. You, being the youngest, don't need to worry, they added. My aunt scoffed. You go ahead and apply. It's not like you're guaranteed to get in. I asked. What if I do get in? She replied. Then you go study. Graduate school doesn't charge tuition, and your uncle and I are still in good health. We can take care of ourselves. My biological mother lamented. More studying. You'll be 26 by then, right? You'll end up an old maid. Who will marry you? She believed. It's better to start working and earning money sooner. I rolled my eyes at her. Whether I study or get married is none of your business. My course was chosen by my second brother, who asked around extensively before deciding. I contacted the professor early on and eventually became her student, and through her, I met Cody, my senior and later my boyfriend. After graduate school, we stayed in the provincial city, although there were better opportunities elsewhere. I didn't want to be too far from my aunt and uncle. A couple of years into working, marriage was on the agenda. By then, my uncle's back was bent, and my aunt had only a few black hairs left. Cody knew about my family background. Together, we saved $200,000. I handed the bank card to my aunt. As promised, here's the dowry of $200,000 for you and uncle. Later, during our house renovation, my aunt brought out the card. I haven't touched the money in here. You keep it for now. Your uncle and I can still manage ourselves. If we can't make money later, we'll ask you kids for help. Cody's family is quite well off, so we planned the wedding at a hotel in the provincial city. Perhaps my biological mother was becoming senile. She actually came up to me and said, I am your real mother. When the time comes, let your husband serve us the tea for the ceremony. I bluntly told her to get lost. On the day of the ceremony, the officiant asked Cody and me to serve tea to my uncle and aunt. Cody respectfully called out, Dad, Mom. I followed suit, echoing, Dad, Mom. No. Starting from that moment, I corrected myself and from then on, referred to them as Dad and Mom. Tears welled up in their eyes as they nodded repeatedly in response. Dad held Cody's hand and said, She's my only precious daughter. You must promise to always treat her well. Mom bowed her head and rummaged through her pocket for a red envelope. Her hair was freshly dyed, but the roots still showed traces of white. She handed a thick red envelope to Cody, saying, Pearl has suffered a lot when she was little. Now that you've married her, you must never let her suffer again, understand? With tears in my eyes, Cody and I bowed deeply to them in gratitude for their upbringing. There is the grace of giving life, and there is the grace of nurturing. To me, the grace of nurturing far exceeds that of birth. As a child, I often had nightmares where I was trapped in a dense forest, surrounded by countless cicada shells, unable to escape. Eventually, the nightmares faded away. I wonder when that began. Perhaps it was after the 100th time my uncle brought me snacks, or maybe it was after numerous scoldings from my aunt who still kept warm meals ready for me. It was their love, and the love of my brothers, that led me out of the dark woods of my childhood and into the vast, open sky. Do you have any insights after watching the above story? Feel free to tell us in the comments sections below. Don't forget to like and subscribe our channel. See you next time.